All right, welcome in to anyone who can actually see me, because most of this is being put out live on the platforms that don't want you to see me. So we'll see how this goes. But you saw the intro. My husband made it kind of in jest, but I'm going ahead and using it for now as I get myself organized to go fully independent again, because strange times we're living in. You don't know who you can trust. You don't, there's people that call themselves one thing, and we're seeing corruption all around. I mean, the RNC is a great example of that. All these rhinos, we're going to see what happens with that. We're going to talk about that with a true truth teller. He's the host of Red Pill News on RedPill78. He's been producing shows since 2018, also co-host of Baseless Conspiracies, Altered State, and Taking It Back, all part of Badlands Media Network. So I'm just going to dive right in. Welcome him in. Zak Paine, thank you for joining me today.
Christy Lee, it's a pleasure to be here. So KLIM, is that Christy Lee Independent Media?
It is. Okay. Wow. You put that
together. Yeah. It made the most sense, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I was going by Christy Lee TV forever, and I'm going to continue to do that. But I find a lot of people don't know how to spell that, let alone pronounce it. I'm constantly being called Christy Lee. So I'm like, how do people not know? Lee could be spelled L-E or L-E-I-G-H. But, there's some people that don't. So I was like, well, I'll keep it simple. KL. We'll go more with KL, KLIM, Christy Lee Independent Media for now, and we'll see how that goes. But
right on.
Thank you for putting that together. So I want to talk to you today. It seems like I keep on checking all of my favorite aggregates to see what's going on, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of big news.
No.
And I think that is like by design. Everyone's like freaking out about what's going to happen to the RNC. They're cheering on and so excited that Miss Ronna McDaniel is stepping down. And, it's another one of those things where I feel like we are again focused on the wrong thing. And, sometimes the second state of a man is worse than the first. So what is your take on all that?
I mean, I think that Ronna Romney McDaniel has been a disaster for the RNC. I think that under her leadership, we have had minimal movement in a positive direction. Largely, the RNC has failed to focus on the sort of local candidates that I've been saying we need to focus on for a very long time. Instead, Ronna has been too busy getting lip injections, paying for floral arrangements, getting first-class airfare travel, and paying for Yukon limousines. If you look at the money that the DNC has been spending, they've been pouring all of that money into local races. They're buying the voter lists. They're paying people to go out and go door to door. They're ensuring that they have lawyers and challengers on hand in precincts all across America so that when it comes down to it and they try to inject tens of thousands of ballots into the system, then there's nobody there but the Democrats to ensure that they're counted, and then, they get the upper hand. Ronna has not had her mind focused on what is necessary to keep the RNC strong, or more importantly, to support America First candidates. I don't think she's America First. I think that she's just been collecting a paycheck. Obviously, she's been taking care of herself more than she's been taking care of the party. And so, a lot of people for many years have said, we need to start a new party. I don't feel that way. I think that we need to take over the RNC. They have the infrastructure in place. We have people who are already working within this system. If we could just harness it and spend the money in the right way, then I think that we can make a major movement and have a big impact. So as far as Donald Trump's choice, Michael Watley, is that his name? I keep thinking of the Irish step dancer guy.
I know, right? That would be much more entertaining. Can we have him? Can we have that guy? J.R. Majewski has entered the chat. He wants to make sure I tell you hello.
What's up, J.R.? Good to see you.
Shout out to J.R. And he's a great example of how the RNC is so disorganized. They completely hopped on the bandwagon when it came to the defamation of his service by the regime media. And it was all so dirty. And instead of standing up for him, so many just rolled over and were like, oh, never mind, we're going to pull our support. But yeah, that's a good example. I mean, I keep on thinking of Bible scripture of, that we're going to go through this process of the separating the wheat from the chaff, if you will.
Mhm.
And we're noticing it both within the Republican Party and in conservative media. There's a lot of fakery out there. There's a lot of, Republican in name only, but there's a lot of conservative in name only. There's a lot of Christian in name only. And I think we're going to go through a period of seeing that exposed. You made a good point about it's all about money. We saw that in the leaked tape of Carrie Lake with the man that basically tried to bribe her to get out. And oh gosh, that was so disgusting to hear that. But I mean, he basically admitted that it's all about money. And the RNC has been corrupt for a long time because sometimes they make more money by losing. So, I mean, do you think that we're going to finally see somebody like, if you search RNC, let me show you this. If you search RNC on X, this is what you will see. It's all Scott Presler, because the people have wised up that we need somebody that's out there doing something.
Right.
We need somebody that's willing to stay in people's houses, to get people registered. He's not like living a lot high on the horse, as far as I can tell. So, I mean, this is what the people want. But do you think we'll get to a point where we can get it?
I do. Like I said, I don't know much about Donald Trump's pick, but I have to believe that if he's learned anything over the last 7 years, it's how to pick someone to actually work for him. I mean, you're talking about the wheat separating from the chaff. I mean, that you couldn't be more direct on this point. We have watched throughout Trump's first term in office, all the people who turned on him, all of the people who stabbed him in the back. And all of those people have really fallen away, and the scales have been pulled from the eyes. Everybody sees how corrupt this system is and who are the people that we can't trust. I mean, Scott Presler, he's definitely not living high on the hog. The man weighs 80 pounds because he never stops moving. He's running all over the country, getting people registered. He's done a lot more work than anybody actually working at the RNC. And if anybody at the RNC wants to prove me wrong, I welcome it. I'm so glad JR's here. I mean, he is the future of the Republican Party. This is exactly the type of people that we need to get into elected service. Somebody who understands the sacrifice that is required if you want to dedicate your life to helping people. It's exactly what JR has always done. That's what he's going to do when he gets to Washington, D.C. And all of those people who turned on him now are essentially the bane of the people. I mean, we see them, we reject them, and we're now working to get the people in who are going to help us. And if this new guy at the RNC doesn't do it, we got to stand up and say something. But I think President Trump chose him for a reason. Either he owes him, or he's going to play ball, or he really cares.
Right. And when it comes to conservative media, I wish I would have actually pulled it, but Joe Pags, he was in my chat yesterday, and he just put something on his Twitter about how he has nearly 200,000 followers on X, but no one sees his stuff. I deal with the same thing on some of these platforms where I have a high follower count, but just no one even sees it. So it's like, what's the point? So his frustration is that X has become this freedom of speech platform, supposedly, but there's still so much weirdness going on. I know with InfoWars, they still can't share their links. That was fixed, and then it wasn't fixed. And he also makes a point, Joe Pags, about how there's some people that will get elevated on there. Like, I don't even follow the Krassenstein brothers, but they're always in my flipping feed. I hate it. So some people will get elevated and others not. And some of these like conservative stars that are making money hand over fist, it makes you wonder, like, well, why are they elevated? And there's so many people that have more than just outrage porn to inform people with, that are hidden. What's your take on that?
Well, it's a money-making venture. And the sad fact of the matter is that largely those people that you see getting a lot of distribution, having a lot of eyes on their stuff, they're stealing their content from smaller creators. And there's a monetary incentive there to do that. You make enough money. Some of those people are making tens of thousands of dollars a week. They can afford to hire people at, $20 an hour to scrape through Twitter, find the best stuff for them, and probably tweet it out on their behalf. I mean, all those people have to do is do the shows when they actually go on live. But you also have to be tweeting constantly. You have to be living on Twitter and continually engaging with people. And that's just not something I'm willing to do. I mean, I've got like almost 100,000 people too. And I just do not bother to even try at this point because my focus is truly on this type of work, the in-person stuff, actually producing the content. And that's where most of the people show up. So I'm happy with that. But of course, everybody needs to be able to make a living. And it is, a bit of a disincentive when you see that people are making money and they're just doing it on the backs of others. I mean, this is like 21st century digital slavery now over on platforms like X and even on Facebook. God, the stuff they monetize on Facebook, I couldn't even believe it. It's I don't use Facebook, but I have seen the sorts of things that they push, and it's like more mindless than TikTok, if that's even possible. So, I think you're in good company not having your stuff being pushed over there. But it is frustrating, I mean, especially when you know that you have your heart in the right place, when you're trying to put out information that is truly going to be helping people, going to be educating people, and you want to help people like our friend JR there as well. It's unfortunate that you've got people who are just kind of living that grifter lifestyle, but all I can hope is that eventually that's going to fall away as well.
So let me ask you this, because what is also, as I said at the beginning, annoying is that the conservative media will all, of course, the mainstream media or regime media will say pounce or seize or whatever. But I mean, I'll go ahead and use it right now. They'll pounce on the same story, like this surrounding McDaniel. I think it's important to discuss, but I think there's so much lost in the news cycle when we focus on one thing that none of us can really control at this point. And we're missing other things. What do you think are some of the bigger stories that are being missed when it's easy to monetize the outrage and the, they better not get in somebody else that's just like Rana, you know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
What do you think are the things that we're missing with all of that going on?
Well, the biggest story that I'm concerned with in the last 24 hours is Judge Scott McAfee in President Trump's RICO case. He just determined yesterday that Terrence Bradley, the former partner of Nathan Wade, the lover and paramour of District Attorney Fani Willis, no longer has attorney-client privilege. Terrence Bradley now has to testify again in that court hearing where Judge Scott McAfee is trying to determine whether or not Fani Willis and Nathan Wade have impeached themselves. They have. Spoiler alert, Terrence Bradley is now going to testify to text messages and conversations he had with Nathan Wade about his relationship with Fani Willis. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade claim that they didn't start dating or even hanging out romantically until after Nathan had been hired as a special prosecutor without any sort of trial experience in a RICO sense or even in a criminal sense. And their relationship goes back to 2019. So you've already had Robin Yurdy, who was the roommate and best friend and college friend of District Attorney Willis. She testified to the fact that she knows they've been involved since 2019. Okay, that's one person. That was one piece of evidence. Terrence Bradley is now going to be able to testify to much the same thing, at the very least, that they were involved much earlier than they have testified. So now they have both lied on the stand about the start of their relationship. They both failed to disclose that relationship in a number of different areas that are an ethical consideration, also a legal consideration for the court. And then you also have the introduction of Nathan Wade and Fani Willis's geolocation data from their cell phones, which pinged them in the exact same location far earlier than their alleged start of their romantic relationship would suggest. And we're talking like booty call time, Christy. We're talking about 11:30 to 4 a.m. Yeah. Nathan Wade.
They were working. They were working, Zach.
Yeah. I don't know what you're working on at 11:30 to 4 a.m. I mean, that's not when I'm working on work. But so he shows up, then he goes back to his, I guess, estranged wife. They also shared something like 11 or 12,000 text messages before their relationship officially began. So in this instance, Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are looking at not only being thrown off of this case, they're also looking at potentially being disbarred. And when this happens, the entire district attorney's office of Fulton County is going to be disqualified from being able to continue on with this RICO case against President Trump. The great irony is that they are both being accused of lying and forging documents. This is exactly what they charged President Trump and his so-called co-conspirators with. So where's the justice? Where's the peace? Judge Scott McAfee is going to have to make a decision. And I don't think that he's going to be able to decide any other way.
Well, but didn't he donate to, wasn't it? I mean, so I mean, can we trust that he'll actually make the right decision? I mean, they're so brazen with what they do. They don't try and hide that they're all corrupt. So can we trust that the right outcome will happen?
I think he's going to have even more of an incentive to hold Fani Willis and Nathan Wade to a higher standard, because again, she's a district attorney. He's a special prosecutor. Okay, they already need to be held to a higher standard of ethics and morality, and they've already shown that they simply have not met that bar. So, if Scott McAfee, now that it's been found out that, you know, even if it was a ceremonial donation, he donated to her. Now, if he does not do this the right way, then people are automatically going to then accuse him of being just as corrupt and unethical as her. And then don't forget, there was also a plant from the Biden Justice Department that was put in place in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. His name is Jeff DeSantis, D.I. Santis, not D.E. Santis. And he has essentially been running point. We've got whistleblowers now coming out from inside the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I believe that the quote was, you know, did you see Fani on the stand? She's not intelligent. She's not the one who's been running this show. It's Jeff DeSantis. So I just think it's snowballing. It's gotten too big, and there's no way to put this genie back in the bottle.
Well, yeah, and I think we're all just exhausted with seeing corruption and lack of justice. And so I certainly hope that this can be turned around. And I think it's going to take a lot of prayer, for one thing, and to know who we can trust moving forward. But you are a workhorse. I told you I was just going to do a quick thing with you. I want you to tell me about, for those who've never seen your work before, what it is that you do. You work on multiple shows. And if you could just give me a little background on that and where we can find you.
Yeah, no problem. So I have my own channel on Rumble, rumble.com/RedPill78. You can also find me at pilled.net. You can also find me on Gab, Twitter, Getter. What's the other ones? I think
I know.
There's so many. I'm on BitChute, RedPill78, but all of them pretty much at RedPill78. And I have shows that I do on my channel 6 days a week, Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. I have a live daily top trending news podcast where I'll do news and commentary and try to keep it light, you know, throw in some fun stuff if I can. That's from 5 to about 7:30, depends on how much news is taking over that day. And then on Friday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. from 9 to 11, I have an interview show with calls from the audience. So I'll interview awesome people from all different walks of life and on all different subject matters. Primarily, it's politics during the week. I like to try to mix it up and do some different stuff on the weekend. So you might find like conspiratorial stuff, you know, fantastical stuff. I like to do things like that. And then on Mondays at 10:30 p.m., I host Baseless Conspiracies with my good friend John Harold. Wednesdays at 9 p.m., I'm hosting Altered State with my good friend Brad Getz. And then Thursdays at 4 p.m., I am one of a panel of three, my friends 412 and on Adel Nero, and then Frankie Val, who is also known as Quite Frankly, on Taking It Back, which is also on Badlands Media. So, and then there's other things scattered throughout there as well.
And with all that, you think you don't have time to post to X all the time? I don't understand. I mean, why not? You're doing everything else. So yeah, check him out, RedPill78 on all of the platforms. I want to talk to you next time a little bit more about the Baseless Conspiracies and also just the importance of integrating other stuff besides all the things that can make us upset, because let's face it, our mental health is important. I want to integrate more faith-based stuff and also more humor, because we got to laugh through some of this stuff.
Absolutely. It'll make you crazy if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we can focus on that next time. But thank you so much for hopping on real quick. And I hope that my folks will go ahead and follow you. Thank you to J.R. Majewski for joining our little show today. And yeah, we look forward to having you back next time.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All right. Let me find my little Stranger Things here. All right. Bye, folks.